Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to rate on the 5-game NBA main slate on Monday. Before I get into the video, for you guys who are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Also, I do want to say thank you guys all so much for all support. Currently now at 3.75 thousand subscribers, so if you guys enjoy all this free content, if you could leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. That would really help me out as I continue to grow this YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, it's just the DK DFS show. The link is in the description below. If you can't for some reason watch videos and you just want to watch or listen to the podcast, I do upload there as well. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into players and their prices for this 5-game slate, what we can do is we can look back at my lineup here from Sunday. So Sunday, I'm gonna keep the tilt level to about 2 minutes here. So yeah, let me get my 2 minutes of tilting out of the way, and then we can get to the breakdown. So if you guys watch my video, if you guys watch the live stream, you knew I was super high on the three centers: Jarrett Allen, Thomas Bryant, and JAKOB. Right? I said play two of those three guys. I love all three of those guys. Like if I could play all three, I wish I could. But again, you can only play two centers. Thomas Bryant went for almost 60 fantasy points at 4.8K. Jarrett Allen at 5.6K went for almost 50 fantasy points. Unfortunately, I went with JAKOB as well. Only had 17 fantasy points, but was in foul trouble the entire game. Missed about 15, I would say, to 18 minutes. Like he had 18 fantasy points in 20 minutes. If we would have got his 35 to 38 minutes, which is what I was expecting from JAKOB, would have crushed it, right? So literally I cannot escape foul trouble since NBA has come back every single slate. And it's multiple guys too. Zach Collins picked up 2 fouls right away to start the game, comes back in at the end of the first and picks up his 3rd immediately. Doesn't see any more action until the second half. Second half, picks up his 4th foul right away. And that's kind of the same thing with JAKOB. He picked 2 early fouls, came back in the second quarter, picked up his 3rd right away, didn't see any more time, and then picked up his 4th immediately at the start of the second half. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you actually kidding me? But that's the way DFS goes sometimes with variants like that, right? I love those 3 centers, of course, but I got the short end of the stick with mine getting in severe foul trouble and Zach Collins in foul trouble as well. Really, I mean, if those guys don't get in foul trouble, Zach Collins probably gets you 25 or so fantasy points. I mean, he still played about 25 minutes, but it probably missed out on a good 10 minutes or so with those foul trouble issues. JAKOB, I think, missed out at least 15 or so minutes, so super tilted about that. And then Troy Brown. What the hell, man? I played him the other day. He was the one letdown. I still had a big day. Was a Friday. He was one kind of letdown. I get off him for this slate, and he almost has a triple-double. Turns into LeBron James. It's just shake my head, man. But in all honesty, though, I think I should have had a little bit more interest in Troy Brown. I think the recency bias got to me a little bit just because he didn't do a whole lot of assists and rebounds. But we saw games earlier in the year when Beal was out where Troy Brown has really taken over. So I think that was a mistake on my part. I mean, I did have interest in Troy Brown, but he wasn't one of my top plays. So I think that was a slight mistake there. I should have had a little bit more interest in Troy Brown. Again, I think that recency bias got to me a little bit. And then, yeah, so let's go over the rest of my lineup here. So on Ish, LeVert, Doncic, Zach Collins, Jarrett Allen, Lonnie Walker, Giannis, and JAKOB. Mentioned I wanted to jam in those studs with Luka, with Giannis. Ish was really solid for his price. So you played Tyler Johnson. He wasn't bad. He wasn't terrible, but he was also in foul trouble. He picked up 3 fouls in 5 minutes. I think he still ended with 20 fantasy points, close to mid price. So that didn't really kill you. Again, LeVert. Another guy, a guy I mentioned, really liking in the mid-range. Him, Ja Morant crushed. Nurkic crushed again. The one kind of letdown that I mentioned in the mid-range was DeMar DeRozan. Kind of seems like he's taking a back seat, whereas Derrick White, DeJounte Murray, some of the younger guys stepping up a little bit. So we'll talk about that more when the Spurs are on the next slate. But that's the look back. And then Lonnie Walker didn't get as many minutes as I expected. They give Witherspoon some minutes. They ran like a little bit deeper rotation, so kind of got popped there. And then also, to add insult to injury, I had the same lineup as the lineup train. If you guys play a lot of cash games, you'll notice like there's lineup trains. Yeah, I have the same lineup as literally a lot of people. So I actually played some head-to-heads today, and I got matched up with almost everyone that had my same lineup. So I'm just going to lose like whatever it is, like this 10% or so. So yeah, kind of frustrating night for me, but that's the way DFS goes sometimes. So all right, let's now move on to this slate. Enough of me tilting. Again, that was probably a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but you guys are probably like, shut up, DK, talk about the games today. So let's do it. All right, so we got 5 games on the main slate. 1 game on the early slate they're not including. I kind of like that. So we have 4 of the 5 games out right now on Bovada. We have the Pacers and the Wizards, a 227.5 over under. The Pacers are 7.5 point favorites. We have Memphis and New Orleans, a 239 over under. New Orleans are 4 point favorites there. Spurs and 76ers are 229 over under. 76ers are 7 point favorites. So I guess we do have the Spurs in this slate. And then the Lakers and the Jazz, a 219 over under. The Lakers are 6 point favorites. So let's go position by position. We'll start at the top at center with Joel Embiid at 10-3. So I mentioned in that, was it a couple days ago, when I was like, if Miles Turner gets in foul trouble, Pacers literally have no one behind him. And that's what happened. Turner got in foul trouble, and Joel Embiid just went off, right? They tried to throw Jakar Sampson on him. They tried to throw TJ Leaf on him. He just absolutely abused him, went for 81 fantasy points. Now he gets JAKOB, who was also in some foul trouble and could be again today. I'm a little bit worried there. They don't really have too much behind JAKOB, right? They have DRUE Eubanks, who, in my opinion, will get absolutely crushed by Embiid. I don't think they can try to throw Rudy Gay on there. They do have Tyler Zeller, but right? It's not looking good behind them. So another situation where, yeah, if JAKOB gets some foul trouble here, Embiid could crush like we saw him that last game against the Pacers. So I do have interest, even though the price went up. Again, the offense really just runs through Joel Embiid. He went for 41 and 21. That's just insane. 3 blocks, a steal, 4 assists. So the upside is enormous on Embiid. Again, if he gets JAKOB in foul trouble, there could definitely be a huge upside game again there for Embiid. This Lakers-Jazz game is a game that I'm not super excited about. 9.8K for AD. I'm going to pass. That he's listed as probable. He's going to be good to go. JOKIC at 9.4. Again, I want to mention, like, this guy is just such a frustrating DFS player to roster. He was crushing that first half against Miami. He had like 30+ and finished the game with 39. We have no Barton still, no Gary Harris, and Jamal Murray they have right now listed as very questionable, so I assume he's not going to go. JOKIC is going to be the do-it-all guy, but again, he's still, even with all his guys out, kind of took a back seat at times. It's just super frustrating. A guy this skilled at times can just kind of stand around and not do a whole lot and kind of defer offensively. And then some games he'll just absolutely take over and just go off like a huge triple-double. So a very tough player to try to figure out here. The 9.4K price I think does look decent. The matchup, not necessarily the best. Like Steven Adams is a pretty decent defender. Noel, not bad either. But I have interest in him. I think more just a GPP play though for those reasons, like for his inconsistencies and at times just kind of the sitting back offensively. Let's see, Valanciunas at 7.9. Did get, how many minutes did he play? 28 minutes today. That is obviously better to see. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s minutes went down a bit. Brandon Clark's minutes went down a bit because, JV was not in huge foul trouble. It's just a 7.9K price point where I don't know if I want to pay that much for JV for, maybe 25 or so minutes. Zion, from what I've heard, I think he's still going to be on a minutes limit. If that's the case, there's just no way, right? He's played 15 and 14 minutes the first couple of games. I'm not paying 7.8K for Zion unless we get some sort of news that he's just miraculously off this minutes limit. Is going to play full minutes. Then I would have interest, but I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see. Yeah, Horford, Tobias Harris are not guys I have interest in when Philly's fully healthy. There's just no reason for me to get there. Gobert, I'm going to pass at. Now, Thomas Bryant at 6'3", again, mentioned, really liking him on today's slate. Unfortunately, he was the one guy I left out of my centers. Again, I played Allen and JAKOB POELTL. Went for 37 minutes, 59 fancy points. Now, the price did come up, but I still think he looks... I mean, if he's going to play 35 minutes, this is still too cheap of a price point for Thomas Bryant. Like, he should be 7.5, maybe even 8K. So, yeah, he's still underpriced here. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he should get 35 minutes like we've seen the first couple games here. So really do like Thomas Bryant here. I think he's one of the better plays of the day at his price. Triple J now up to 6'2". Played 35 minutes the last game, so it went down a little bit. But again, there was overtime that first game, and JB was in a little bit of foul trouble. He surprisingly has stayed out of foul trouble the first couple games. Went for 21, 3, 2, and 2. The matchup is amazing here. This game, I want exposure to this game. Again, we're looking at a, 239 over-under? Yeah, 239 over-under. You're going to want some pieces in this game. I think Triple J does look good, but maybe not as good as he has in previous slates where he was 4.9 to 5.2. Now he's 6.2K. I still think it looks good because of the great matchup, but maybe not like a lock play, right? Let's see. Miles Turner at 6'1". So he let a lot of people down, was in foul trouble literally the entire game there against Bede, which I mentioned, that was the big risk of playing Miles Turner. This matchup against Thomas Bryant, I know Thomas Bryant had a really good game, but it's just, the offense doesn't necessarily run through Thomas Bryant, so I think there's less of a chance he gets in foul trouble, and the usage goes up big time for Miles Turner when there's no Sabonis out there. We have no Oladipo, possibly no Malcolm Brogdon too. So this is a game, I think this Indiana-Washington game and the Pelicans and the Grizzlies game, that's where I want a lot of my exposure tomorrow. So really do like Miles Turner. Again, I think the ownership will drop because he let a lot of people down. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think we get 35-plus minutes from him, and his usage will be way, way up. So I love Miles Turner. I love Thomas Bryant at the center today. I think you can play them both together. Like I mentioned today, playing Jarrett Allen and Thomas Bryant together. Rui's price did come down now to 5.8. I think that's more in play, but still, I would just rather get to Thomas Bryant at a similar price. Steven Adams at 5'4", I'm going to pass. Now, Favors is at 5'3". Did only play 21 minutes. Well, the game was a blowout, so that is right. I think so he was on pace for a pretty good game, right? Had 26 fancy points in 21 minutes. Unfortunately, again, that game blew out. Memphis runs big, so I think Favors makes for an interesting pivot off of those two guys I mentioned. A guy like Miles Turner, a guy like Thomas Bryant, I think will eat up some good ownership. Whereas Derek Favors, I think, goes pretty under the radar here. So I kind of like Favors as a contrarian play there at 5'3". JAKOB POELTL 5'1". Oh, man, did he kill me today. Just stop following, man. My God. Super, super tilting. Now he's up to 5'1". The matchup against Embiid just scares me. Like, do I want to play POELTL again and have him foul out in like 15 minutes? I mean, there's a better chance he gets in foul trouble this game, really, going up against Joel Embiid. So I'm worried about it. I'm personally going to stay away. That means he's probably going to stay out of foul trouble and go for like 50 fancy points. But, yeah, I mean, I just prefer Thomas Bryant. I prefer Miles Turner for a little bit more. Other options here. So Brandon Clarke's minutes did go down. Went to 25, which was... I was kind of expecting, had a off game for his standards, right? He's normally a pretty solid point per minute guy, only 15 fancy points to 25 minutes. You expect a little bit more for him. So I still think he's a solid play at his price. It didn't move, and it's a really good matchup here. So I have interest. I think the ownership will drop after he had a subpar to below average game there. So I still have interest there in Clarke as a value play. Mason Plumlee on Denver will play about 15 or so minutes. I mean, he's normally a pretty productive guy, but 4-1 feels a little bit too cheap, or a little bit too expensive, I should say. Noel's at 3-4. How many minutes? He played 18 minutes the last game, right? He's always like in play. If you really need someone cheap, he'll play 15 to 20 minutes. Normally, again, he's another guy that is kind of productive. TJ Leaf at 3-3. They didn't get a whole lot of minutes. Only played 9 minutes. They used... what's his name on the Pacers? Jakar Sampson a bit. Yeah, I mean, again, the Pacers are pretty thin behind Miles Turner for bigs. But that's really it, I think. Bol did get some minutes there for Denver. Played 12 minutes. It was pretty solid. But I don't think he's getting enough run for me to consider him. And that's really it. So let's move on to power forward. We already mentioned AD. Not a huge fan there. Tobias is way too expensive at 8.6. I know it's a good spot here. He had a really good shooting day. Went for 30 points and 8 rebounds. But when this team is fully healthy, like, I just don't want to pay 8.6K for Tobias Harris. So I'll pass. The Pelicans, guys, I'm a little annoyed DraftKings didn't lower their prices a bit because they've obviously been struggling as a team. But again, this is a bounce back spot here for sure against Memphis. I have interest in Ingram. I know he's been not the best the first couple games, but the whole team has been really, really bad. Normally, again, guys like Ingram, JRUE, LONZO are all going to play 35-plus minutes, and this is one of the best possible spots. Again, I want exposure to this game. Zion most likely going to be limited. That's a boost to Ingram. That's a boost to JRUE, LONZO. So I have interest there in Ingram. TJ Warren was a guy I was all over the other day. Now, unfortunately, I didn't. I'm a one lineup guy, so I didn't land on him. I had to, because that was the day where Denver value opened up, and then I kind of went more the stars and scrubs approach. It was a little bit tricky for me to get TJ Warren in, and that's the downside of playing one lineup. Again, kind of the same thing today. I wanted to mention is if you're a one lineup guy like myself, and you have like 3 really good plays at center, you just kind of have to hope you get on the right side. Again, unfortunately, I got on the wrong side there, but that's the risk of only playing one lineup. TJ Warren, again, he went off 70 fantasy points, 53 real-life points. So that is a slight concern, though, is he still is kind of scoring dependent. But with all these guys being out for the Pacers and the matchup being unreal, I know the price is up, but this is like the best possible spot in Indiana. Super, super short-handed. No Sabonis, no Oladipo, possibly no Malcolm Brogdon. I really like TJ Warren still, even at this price point. So I think him and Miles Turner have to do a lot offensively here. Other options like Rudy Gay at 5'8", that's just too much for me to pay for Rudy Gay right now. MILLSAP, I mean, him, the thing is, like, they have him, they have Jerami Grant, they have Mason Plumlee they can use. I just don't know if I want to get to the value Denver bigs right now. Let's see. Other options, yeah, again, Jerami Grant, yeah, sure, he's going to play about 25 or so minutes. I think he's fine, but not like my favorite play. Michael Porter Jr. Was in some foul trouble that first game. Played 25 minutes at 18 fantasy points. Looks like all those guys are going to be out once again for Denver. The issue, though, is just the price. 4 or 5. Kind of feels like a lot. Now, we have seen some upside games from Michael Porter Jr., but, yeah, I would probably say that he's more of just an okay play with upside. I'm not, like, all over Michael Porter Jr. at that price. Let's see. Kuzma's been shooting the ball really, really well, and the minutes have been solid from 32 and 28 minutes. Not really the best spot here against the Jazz, but I think he's still in play. And that is really it. So let's move on to small forward. LeBron at 10.7. I don't know if I want to get to him at this price and this match against the Jazz. Sure, LeBron can go off in any matchup, but am I going to prioritize him in this spot? I don't think so. Ben Simmons at 9.1. You know, the good thing with Ben Simmons is he's going to play big minutes. He played 38 minutes the last game against the Pacers, and he's going to stuff the stat sheet, right? 1 for 19, 13, 4, and 1. You know, the price point is creeping up there, like 9.1. Kind of feels like a lot to pay for Ben Simmons. But the Spurs, I'm not really scared of them defensively, so I have interest there in Ben Simmons for his price. DeRozan, so like I mentioned, he's kind of taken a back seat offensively to guys like Derrick White, DeJounte Murray. I don't know, like he's kind of just a frustrating roster right now. I kind of put in the same territory as like a Jokic. Like we know DeMar DeRozan has the talent to completely take over a game, right? And he can really lead the Spurs team, but he only shot the ball 10 times. With no LaMarcus Aldridge, played 34 minutes and shot the ball 10 times. And he only shot the ball 13 times the previous game. So it's not like DeRozan's coming out there and just shooting bad. He's just not shooting. So that like worries me. At 8.2K, I'm going to pass right now. I need to see him be more aggressive offensively before I can pay that salary for DeRozan. Got no Barton. Oladipo, I believe, was already ruled out. Yet doubtful, so do not expect him to go. That's going to open up definitely some value here with the Pacers, and again, a really good spot. I love 2 games on the slate. It's the Pacers, Wizards, and it's the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. Again, I really do want a lot of exposure to both of those games. Other options, Gallo is always fine for cash. No one I'm ever super excited about. Troy Brown Jr., again, I think I should have been a little higher on him. Not just, looking at the box score, but really, like, he had an off game. That first game, he was in foul trouble. Like, again, we have seen games where Troy Brown Jr., when Beal's been out, has completely taken over games, and we saw that today. Went for 50 fantasy points. Again, little tilting there. Wish that would have happened when I played him. But went for 22, 10, and 8. Yeah, I mean, if he's going to get 38 minutes like we saw last game, I think he's one of the best plays here at 5.2K. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, which whoever I play seems to get in foul trouble. But yeah, I think Troy Brown is a really solid play there at his price. Let's see, Jay Rich at 4.8. I mean, again, this team is just, he had 8 fantasy points. He's not really out there for his offense right now. More just out there defensively. There's no way I can get to him. Jerome Robinson's price came out to 4.7. Still got 28 minutes, but I would just much prefer getting to Troy Brown, who I think has a lot more upside. Let's see. Other options here. Lonnie Walker's minutes went way down. The 4.4K, his price went up. It's a stay away for me now. I can't do it. Keldon Johnson's also price came up. Still, again, only played 25 minutes. So those 2 are stay aways for me right now. Other options. So a guy like Justin Holiday at 3.7. I mean, I think he's going to have to play big minutes. Now, he didn't do a whole lot offensively, right? 2 of 9, 19 fancy points, but a great matchup. And we have Oladipo out, possibly Brogdon out too. So if Brogdon's out as well, I think Justin Holiday will have to do a little bit more offensively, right? So I have interest there. We'll talk about Aaron Holiday, who I'd like a good amount, and then some other potential plays there for the Pacers as well. JJ Redick at 3.7. I think we normally get about 20 to 25 minutes from him. Again, only played 17 because of the blowout. You kind of got to hope he knocks down his threes, right? The last game, 11 points, and that was it. Like, that's what he's out there for. So this game should be played at a really fast pace. I could see an upside game here for JJ. Like, I could see him putting up 30-plus fantasy points here. I have interest there. Again, if you play him, though, know where you're getting into. Does have a somewhat low floor because of his shots not falling. Again, that's kind of all he does is shoot threes. Now, Doug McDermott at 3.4, I actually think would be somewhat viable if, obviously, we know Brogdon is questionable and Oladipo is doubtful. I think he's a guy that could play 25 or so minutes and would have to do a little bit more offensively. So that's more of a GPP value play. Waiters has been solid for the Lakers, but they're just running such a deep rotation. 3.2, he's been pricey. You want to take a shot? Like I said, I don't hate it, but probably not going to be the way that I go. All right, let's move on to shooting guard. We have Jrue Holiday at 8.7. I think these Pelicans guys are going to go low owned, right? Ingram, Jrue, Lonzo are going to go low owned, but the over-under looks really good again. And 2 teams that play like no defense, 239, right? At 239, the highest over-under of the day. I have interest in Jrue. I know the price kind of feels like a lot, but I feel like at least one of these Pelicans guys is going to have a really good game. So, yeah, I have interest in Jrue. Donovan Mitchell at 7K. Those Jazz guards really let me down the other day when they just could not make a shot and got blown out. Did not see any fourth quarter run. This is a tougher spot against the Lakers. Yeah, I'm going to stay away in the main slate right now. Let's see. SGA, I don't know why he's 6K. I don't really want to play SGA against the Nuggets, but like 6K is just too cheap. Like, this is just more of like a cash game play. I think he's really solid for a guy who's going to play probably 35 or so minutes. Yeah, I like him a good amount here. I just think it's not the matchup for me. It's just the price tag. 6K, he should be like 7 to 7.5K. So that's just too cheap. I like SGA a good amount. Again, we have Oladipo, doubtful. So that is pretty big. He played 32 minutes. Those minutes would have to go somewhere. As long as if Brogdon's out too. So Yeah, we'll talk about the Pacers at the end, too, just to kind of give a recap. Napier is too expensive at 5'7". I would just much prefer getting to Ish Smith. Aaron Holiday. So he's 5K. He played 34 minutes, went for 37 fantasy points. Had a pretty solid day, and that was with Oladipo playing. So with Oladipo out, again, if Malcolm Brogdon is out too, then I love Aaron Holiday. Even at a 5K price point, he would play the point guard. He would play huge minutes, and we've seen this guy have upside games. If you followed like my Summer League content, I really liked him in the Summer League. He's just a guy that can put the ball in the basket, and with them being super short-handed and the great matchup, love Aaron Holiday, especially if Brogdon is out. Now, if Brogdon plays, that would be a downgrade to Aaron Holiday, because I would assume they would probably use Brogdon at the 1 and Aaron Holiday at the 2, which would definitely hurt his value a bit. So, let's see. I'm just reading this one. Going indicated Monday he plans to start. Oh, that was on 7/27. Okay. So, yeah, we got to keep an eye on Malcolm Brogdon's status for sure, because that would be a bigger booster guy like Aaron Holiday. Anthony Melton at 5K, and there's just no reason to get to him. Clarkson was a huge letdown. His price went up, though, now to 4.9. I'm kind of glad they raised his price. I don't really want to play Jordan Clarkson here against the Lakers. I'm going to pass. You know, probably one of those Utah guards will have a good game, whether it be Clarkson, Conley, or Donovan Mitchell, but I'm not going to take a shot at any of them in this one. Let's see. Other options here. Torrey Craig at 4.5. I don't want to pay 4.5 for Torrey Craig. Now, he did have an actually decent game for his standards, 25 fantasy points, but I'm going to pass at that price. Other options, Mills, that kind of limited his minutes, only played 13. San Antonio is really unleashing Derrick White and DeJounte Murray. Again, with DeMar DeRozan kind of taking a back seat, those two guards I have interest in for the Spurs. Now, Caruso, I mean, he's getting good run. 28 and 24 minutes. He's playing in that backup point, or the backup point guard role, kind of the Rondo role. He's out there a lot for his defense, but can do a little bit offensively as well. I think that would be more just a late slate play for me for value. I don't know if I would prioritize him for value on the main slate. But let's now move on to point guard. So, already mentioned LeBron, Ben Simmons, and JRUE. Lonzo at 8K is going to be probably 1% owned. The first game, terrible shooting day, 2 of 13. The second game was a blowout. I mean, if you look at it before that, though, like just look at the games before the coronavirus break. He was playing 35 to 40 minutes. He was doing it all, filling up the stat sheet. So we know the upside is there in Lonzo. Now, again, 8K does feel like a lot, but I think him, JRUE, or Ingram, one of those guys will have a really good game. Chris Paul's at 7.7. Yeah, I know he had a solid game last time out. I would rather get to SGA at 6K than Chris Paul at 7.7. Ja Morant at 7.3, I think is one of the best plays of the day here. Again, they're unleashing him minutes-wise. Played 37 that last game against the Spurs, and this is one of the best spots here against the Pelicans. The price didn't move. I love Ja Morant. I think he is one of my favorite, if not my favorite play of the day. I mean, he's going to be super popular, but love Ja Morant here. Almost had a triple-double there against the Spurs, one for 25, 9, and 9. Really, really do like Ja Morant. Jamal Murray, again, they have him very, very questionable, so I don't think he's going to go. Let's see, Schroeder at 6.4. I would just rather get to SGA for cheaper. Brogdon, this is the stats we have to news. This is the news we have to keep an eye on. He is questionable. Yeah, if he plays and is not going to be limited, I would like him a lot. If he is out, then I would really, really like Aaron Holiday and would make Justin Holiday viable. Maybe Edmund Sumner. Like I don't know who else they would start. So that is pretty significant news there with Malcolm Brogdon. DeJounte Murray. I mentioned liking him as a bounce back today because he was in foul trouble the first game. Went for 34 minutes and 44 fantasy points. Like I said, DeRozan just seems to be taking a back seat here. DeJounte Murray and Derrick White, their prices didn't move. I like DeJounte Murray a lot here at 6.2, and I like Derrick White too. Again, those are the two guys that are doing it all right now for the Spurs. Yeah, Derrick White at 5.7. Back-to-back pretty solid games. Again, 34 minutes in both games, 47 and 34 fantasy points. They're filling up the stat sheet. I like both these guards a good amount here for the Spurs. Let's see, Monte Morris will pick up a start with no Jamal Murray, most likely. The 5K price, though, is just like, yeah, I think he's in play, but I'm not, like, I don't think he's one of the top plays for his price. Ish Smith at 4.7 is going to get, 27, 28 minutes. He's been pretty productive in both games, right? One for 31 and 33 fantasy points. But now the price is getting up there, right? 4.7. He's no longer the steal like he was at 3.8 this slate when I played him. So is Ish Smith still in play? Yes, but he's no longer like an amazing play. Now, TJ McConnell, kind of like a Doug McDermott, I think could go under the radar here for value, but look what he did in 17 minutes. Went for 29 fantasy points. Now, maybe they start TJ McConnell, right? If Brogdon's out, maybe they start McConnell and both Holidays. That's always a possibility. If TJ McConnell picks up a start, then I would really like him. If Brogdon's out, I think he has to get more minutes. I would say probably 25 or so. So McConnell's a guy I think goes under the radar here, but does look interesting. All right, so that's really it. Let's talk about the Pacers again really quick, and then we can get out of here. So mentioned, still like T.J. Warren at his price. It's just the matchup and him having to do a lot offensively. Still really like Miles Turner. Again, I think him being in foul trouble will lower the ownership. He let a lot of people down that last slate, but as long as he does not get in foul trouble, I think we get 35 minutes in a really, really good spot. And then Aaron Holiday with Oladipo, doubtful, and Brogdon possibly out. If Brogdon's out, I really do like Aaron Holiday. But then it's like, who else is going to get minutes, right? So if Brogdon's out, I think T.J. McConnell gets good run. I would like Justin Holiday. I think a guy like Edmund Sumner could get some good run. So got to keep an eye on the status here for the Pacers. Those would probably be the guys I would look to. But yeah, I think that's really going to do it for the breakdown today, guys. I will be live for this slate. It's going to be weird timing. I think maybe 2 p.m. Central. I'll let you guys know on Twitter tomorrow when I will go live. Not going to be for a long time, probably only about 30 minutes, but I will go over all the news we get and then kind of give a team-by-team breakdown, cash GPP plays, and then answer any guys' questions you have at the end. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you all in the live stream tomorrow. And let's pray, please, please, no foul trouble for us tomorrow.